Can former President Trump get reelected and then pardon himself? I was reading a few articles on the subject, and most of the articles said no, but a few did say perhaps he can. That was the general consensus I got when I put all of the articles together. And if you are like me, you aren't really into politics and you don't understand how it works and how the law and politics works together. So I put together a little presentation for you to get a simpler understanding of how the whole thing works. So thank you for being here. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And here goes the presentation, and I'll see you next time.
Can a former president pardon himself if he's found guilty and becomes president again? We're looking at you, Donald Trump. This question has been buzzing around since the possibility of Trump being charged with state crimes in Georgia and New York. You see, the power of a presidential pardon only extends to federal crimes, not state ones. So, hypothetically, even if Trump were to regain the presidency in the future, his hands would be tied when it comes to these charges. He wouldn't be able to pardon himself. This is where it gets complicated. The state crimes he's accused of include paying hush money and other charges that fall outside the federal jurisdiction. So, as the situation stands, the power of the presidential pardon wouldn't help Trump evade these charges. So, even if he becomes president again, Trump can't just wipe the slate clean. Let's delve into the difference between state and federal crimes, shall we? In a nutshell, federal crimes are offenses that violate US federal laws, while state crimes violate the laws of the state in which they occur. Now here's where it gets interesting for our former president. Two of the cases against Trump brought forward by the Justice Department are federal crimes. These involve accusations of leaking classified documents and interfering with an election. If Trump were to regain the presidency, he could potentially pardon himself for these federal offenses. That's right, the president does have the power to pardon federal crimes. However, it's not as simple as it sounds. Legal experts are divided on whether a president can, in fact, pardon themselves. It's a question that would likely need to be decided by the Supreme Court. The power of the presidential pardon is mighty, but it does have its limits. But hold on, it's not all black and white. There's a heated debate among legal experts about this. The crux of the argument lies in whether a sitting president possesses the power to pardon himself for federal crimes. Some legal minds argue that the Constitution does not explicitly prohibit such an act, suggesting that it could be possible. On the other hand, many legal scholars counter that such an interpretation contradicts the fundamental principle that no one should be the judge in their own case. They argue that pardoning oneself is essentially the same as acting as one's own judge. This debate paints a complex picture of the American legal landscape, where the lines between constitutional rights and ethical boundaries are often blurred. With such conflicting interpretations, it's highly likely that the Supreme Court will have to step in and make the final call. The question remains, can a president be his own get-out-of-jail-free card? So what happens if Trump becomes president again while still facing these charges? Well, let's delve into the potential outcomes. If Trump secures the presidency in the 2024 election while still embroiled in legal battles, the landscape could dramatically shift. All federal cases against him would likely come to a halt. This is because the Justice Department, under the rules, cannot charge or try a sitting president. So, the charges for leaking classified documents and interfering with the election, both federal crimes, could potentially be thrown out. Furthermore, he would have the power to appoint his attorney general, who would then likely put an end to the government's cases against him. This sequence of events could create a scenario where his legal troubles essentially evaporate. In other words, if Trump wins the 2024 election, his legal troubles could potentially vanish. But what if Trump is found guilty before the 2024 election? Can a criminal run for president? It's a question that has sparked endless debate. The answer, surprisingly, is yes. There's nothing in the Constitution that explicitly prevents a convicted criminal from running for the highest office in the land. It stipulates that a candidate must be at least 35 years old, a natural-born US citizen, and have resided in the US for at least 14 years. It's interesting to note that there have been instances in our history where individuals have sought the presidency while behind bars. For instance, Eugene V. Debs, a socialist, ran for president in 1920 while serving time for speaking out against World War I draft. So, even if Trump is found guilty, he could potentially still run for president. Only time will tell what the future holds for the former president.